Hi, everyone. Welcome to our webinar tonight on managing hormones for 40 plusers. And technically, I probably could have written down 35 plusers there because hormones really do start to shift younger than you think. So I am going to focus on teaching you a little bit about some very easy things that you can do to tweak your daily habits, your daily routines to cruise your way through menopause. So what we're going to do is we're going to cover a few different things. I'm going to start with, first of all, what's happening with your hormones and what's happening in our world as well, because that definitely impacts how your hormones are shifting. We're going to take a look at balancing better using nutrition. We're going to take a look at hormone disruptors and things that you can do to take control there. Movement. I like to use movement instead of exercise. We're going to talk about how that plays into managing hormones. And we'll talk about emotions because those obviously come in as well. And then managing stress and improving sleep. So, I thought to do this workshop because it's happening, right? So a lot of my friends, I'm sort of hanging out with different people and all of a sudden they're ripping off their clothes and taking off layers, ripping off their clothes, that sounded really bad, but they're taking off layers, fanning themselves and just really experiencing a lot of hot flashes. In addition to that, a lot of my friends and people sort of around, 50-ish are also noticing that their mood is starting to tank and they're just not feeling as happy maybe on some days as they used to feel. And this is all normal, but it can also be something that you can reduce or at least minimize just with the right strategies. So that's why I thought that this was a perfect topic for us now. So let's start with the foundation that we always talk about when we use our doTERRA essential oils. And this is our health lifestyle pyramid, and it starts with eating right. So we're going to definitely talk about that. Layering on top of that is exercise. We know there's tons of research out there that shows the right types of exercise right at certain stages of life are key. And resting and managing stress. So our world is stressed in North America. So what we may not notice is that these chronic stressors, it may not be anything big, but just the little stressors from day to day can really do a number on your adrenal glands. And your adrenal glands are really important for managing cortisol levels. So we really need to get a handle on supporting those adrenals and managing that stress on a day-to-day basis. And then of course, reducing toxic load. So we are living in a more toxic world. There's a lot more chemicals out there in our products and the pollution and, the list goes on. So we'll talk a little bit about that as well. So starting with what is happening with our hormones. So here's a visual for you that shows how your hormones start to shift throughout your life. So as you'll see, it kind of starts around 40. Usually they're pretty strong 35, but then after 35, your estrogen can start to drop significantly. So you'll see the sort of the shading there. My son learned that you're 50 when you go through menopause. But as you'll see here, it's really just a range. It could happen anytime between 40. Sometimes it happens for women even earlier than that, but between 40 and 70. And sometimes it's very slow, sometimes it's very fast, sometimes people notice it, sometimes people don't notice a thing except that their periods stop. So what we want to do is we want to get you to experience menopause in a way where you almost don't even notice it's happening. Okay, so that's our goal. So let's take a look at another challenge that we have going on. So yes, our hormones are starting to tank a little bit, and it's not just estrogen as well. It is also progesterone. But we've got this extra stress on our bodies, and this extra stress comes from all the toxins in our world. And you'll see a few of them listed here. You can take a photo of this page. These are the things you want to avoid because they are available and they are in a lot of our personal care products, whether you realize it or not. So that deodorant that you put on every day, that skin moisturizer, that sunscreen, chapstick, everything you put on your body and skin. If you haven't really looked at the labels, I'd like you to challenge you to start looking at those labels because we're going to talk about one really important thing when it comes to managing your hormones through menopause, and that is a healthy liver. Okay, so the liver is like a filter Okay, so what it does, it has 100 different jobs, but it's essentially like a filter. And so it filters out all of the toxins and all of the excess that your body is trying to get rid of. So for example, if you're eating, getting estrogens in your food, in your meat, perhaps, your liver is responsible for cleaning that bad estrogen out. Your liver is also responsible for metabolizing different nutrients, and it provides you with a certain level of energy. And some people notice through menopause that their energy does start to wane a little bit. So we really need to have a healthy liver to help promote that energy. It also is responsible for regulating blood clotting, for producing different nutrients, for converting your thyroid hormone. And thyroid hormones are really important for energy, mood, metabolism as well. You'll notice a lot of different reasons here. I'm not going to go into all of them, but one of the goals in having a really, eventless menopause is to have a clean liver and to do whatever we can to support that liver in detoxing the body and just staying really healthy. So I'm going to talk about this as we go through. I'm just going to mute our audience. There we go. All right. So what are some signs and symptoms that you might be experiencing menopause? So here's the thing, like some of us don't even really realize. We just might think, oh, I'm just getting more moody, must be because of winter or whatever. But there are, so we're just going to go through a couple of the symptoms that you might be experiencing. So the very common ones are hot flashes. A lot of people are saying, well, I'm not really sure if I've had a hot flash. You will know if you've had a hot flash. When you have your first hot flash, it's going to be very noticeable. Usually for people, like it's literally like just the body heats up. Sometimes it's the head, sometimes it's all the way through the body, almost a tingly feeling, and it's hot. So that's a very common thing, as well as night sweat. So some people don't always get hot flashes, but they might get a real hard sweat at night, irregular periods. So generally what starts to happen is your periods get closer together or shorter and shorter. And then they start to go apart. So you might be having like a 24-day cycle, 25-day cycle, and then all of a sudden it's like 90 days, 120 days in between your periods until eventually they just stop. So that can happen very quickly for some and slower for others. So again, everyone's so different and unique. But there's definitely things that you can do to keep your hormones strong and to delay the onset of menopause. We'll talk about that. You might notice a loss of libido. And part of that is because of vaginal dryness. I'm going to talk about that later. Definitely some mood swings. A lot of people feel low mood. Some people feel anxiety, but mostly low mood is what typically people feel. You also might notice some general fatigue, as I mentioned earlier. Maybe even some hair loss that could be impacted from your thyroid. Some people have a really tough time sleeping, okay? And if it's not falling asleep, it's staying asleep. And some women notice concentration issues or memory issues. That's definitely one that I've noticed. Sometimes I'll end up in a room and I'll have no idea why I'm there, right? I'm sure many of you can relate to that. Feel free to chat in if you have any questions or if you have any comments you want to share, but go ahead and just in the chat feature, you can chat in what you might be experiencing right now. So lots of different heartbeats there. You can read them. I'm not going to go through all of them, but things to be aware of. Even aches and pains. This is one that I was kind of surprised about, but you can actually feel some different pain when menopause starts to kick in, and also even digestive issues. So just kind of pay attention to some of those things. I was also talking to a client not too long ago, and she had major itchiness and was telling me that she was itchy for years, and it really clued me into thinking, it could be your hormones. You might want to get that checked. So it could also be itchiness. So lots of different symptoms and signs. So what? Okay. So let's talk about what happens when all of these things start to happen at once. Your hormones are dropping. Maybe you've still got some toxins in your life and your liver's a little bit congested. What could be the result? Well, sometimes women have high cholesterol and high blood pressure, and even an increased risk of insulin resistance. And that's really where your body doesn't escort sugars into the cells as well anymore. And it's a little bit more sensitive to those sugars, or starts to lose sensitivity to the sugars. Heart disease, strokes, bone loss, osteoporosis, osteopenia, Alzheimer's. God, this is depressing, isn't it? Let's not focus on that, because so many women feel amazing through menopause and continue to do so. But again, it's really key. You have to be intentional and do the right things to feel your best. Okay, so let's talk about nutrition. So first of all, one of the things we tend to do is we want to focus on high protein foods, lean, essential fatty acids, and fiber. Okay, so let's talk about protein. So protein can come in many forms, but you want to keep it clean. So if you can find, if you're still eating meat, the best thing to do is to try to find grass-fed, grass-finished meat. Okay, so grass-fed, it could be just sort of animals that have had access to grass, but not really grass-fed the whole time. So they have to be grass-finished. It's a little bit more expensive, but it's definitely worth it if you're really trying to keep your hormones healthy. And you can find local butchers who do that. Fermented soy is a really great thing as well for menopause because of the estrogen factor, and you'll want to make sure it's fermented. Okay, soy can cause thyroid issues if it's not fermented, so we like to stick with the fermented variety, which is actually called tempeh. And then when you're looking at essential fatty acids, those are so important, especially leading up to menopause. I mean, they're important for everyone, but they're especially important when your hormones are really starting to drop. You think of it this way, your essential fatty acids they're like a lubricant, right? So you think about that, it lubricates everything. And it's also really great for your brain and that hormone balance. So the picture here is of doTERRA's essential oil, essential fatty acid. It's called XE Omega. There's also a vegetarian version. If you can handle the fish version, I prefer that one. Something you could also experiment with if your periods are a little bit off is you have your fish oil for the first half of your cycle, and then you rotate evening primrose oil for the last half of your cycle. And you're going to notice that really helps with progesterone production, which is typically at the end of the cycle. When your last half of the cycle starts to shorten, that's an indication that your progesterone might be a little bit low. We don't love low progesterone because that's when you start to feel that insomnia and feel just really off and low, and even digestive issues come about when you have low progesterone. So another really important food to focus on is to get a lot of flax in your diet. So flax almost acts as if it's a healthy estrogen in the body, loaded with those omega-3 fatty acids in food form, and really, really healthy in terms for a plant food. And they say in the side here, you can see that it protects against breast, colon, and prostate cancer. And the reason for that is that it helps to pull all of the excess bad estrogen out of the body. So if you've ever ground up flax and you put like water in it, it's almost like it gets all sort of like mucousy and gooey. Just picture that absorbing all of the excess estrogen, and it pulls it out of the body. And so that's how flaxseed works. So definitely try to get between 2 and 3 tablespoons of flax seeds a day into your diet. So one of the things that you'll also want to do through this time period is really trying to increase your plant-based nutrition. You're going to notice that takes a little bit of pressure off your liver. And again, we want that liver, that filter, to be really healthy and working well so that it's able to do all of the functions that it's designed to do. One of them being processing your hormones. Okay, so love your liver. One of the best foods for the liver are the cruciferous vegetables. So that's just one example. Lots of onions and garlic are fantastic for the liver, but focusing on cruciferous, so the cauliflowers, broccoli, you'll see cabbage, Brussels sprouts, all of these foods are fantastic, and you want to try to get those into your diet every day. Okay, there is research that shows that when you support your liver more, you will actually experience fewer hot flashes. So that's what we're all going for here. So get those cruciferous vegetables into your diet. It's the sulfur in those that really are helpful. And you'll also want to increase the good estrogen. So yes, we have good estrogen and bad estrogen. And what we want to really do is get more phytoestrogens. And you'll see a list here on some of the foods that are pretty high in this. So I mentioned soy. So soy can be good. You want to make sure that it's organic. That tofu there, make sure it's organic, and fermented is even better. So you'll see the list here. These are some things that you can really focus on: hummus, garlic, mung beans, dried apricots are fantastic, olive oil, chestnuts. All of these you really want to focus on to increase those phytoestrogens in your diet. So essentially, keeping your food as real as possible is definitely going to help. Minimizing, artificial sweeteners, MSG, some of the additives that you find in processed foods. Again, those things just cause a lot of stress to the liver, and we need our liver to be really healthy, right? We want to keep that filter clean. So the best way to do that is by eating clean and organic whole foods more often. So I also recommend that you fill in the gaps. So it's really hard to get everything you need in food alone in this day and age, because our vegetables and our fruits, they lack the nutrition that they once had. Like in the last 50 years, potatoes, vitamin C has decreased by 40 to 50%. So there is a real problem with our food on the market. So this Lifelong Vitality Pack is the first thing I suggest to people if they're experiencing a fluctuation in their hormones. It's great for all ages, but especially for those going through menopause. The supplement kit does contain many anti-inflammatory ingredients. Some of them clove, which is the highest antioxidant out there. And when you're going through menopause, what will happen is there is an inflammation. So you want to try to keep that inflammation down, because inflammation is what then leads to disease. We want to keep that really low, and we just have to work a little harder at keeping that inflammation down during menopause. So your alpha CRS is going to help with that, as well as your essential fatty acids. So it's a great formula. It's hard to find all of those anti-inflammatories in one bottle, and you can do that with the alpha CRS there on the left. So you'll notice that these supplements, there actually is a guarantee, because after using them for 30 days, you'll notice that you feel less pain and more energy. And that's really what we want to aim for when we're going through our menopause years as well. So lots of success stories out there with the Lifelong Vitality supplements. If you haven't tried them, you definitely have to try them. They are the foundation to health, and they are bioavailable. So they're much better than some of the ones that you see on the market, because when pills are like hard packed, as an example, they often load a lot of sort of minerals in there to bind it together, and that can actually cause issues with your digestive process. So these are bioavailable, meaning they're in food form, and your body just knows how to use them. It assimilates them so well, and it's highly recommended even by a hormone doctor in Oakville. Dr. Kraus recommends that all of her patients go on the Lifelong Vitality Kit. So, I can't speak more about these. They're excellent. So you really need to try these as a foundation. Lemon is a fantastic essential oil to experiment with liver, and digestion. So it's a great way to sort of cleanse the liver and kickstart the digestive process. So it's a nice habit to get into. And I mean, it's a great essential oil for also cleaning. It's a little bit more natural, and then you can then avoid some of those chemicals in your home. Digestin. Some people do experience digestive issues, and so you might come to love Digestin because it helps with heartburn, gas, basically anything that goes wrong along the GI tract. You're going to love this blend. They do come in soft gel, so they're easy to go, or you can just use that essential oil, rub it on your stomach, put a couple of drops in water and drink it, and it can be a really great addition to your routine. One of the reasons also that people might experience more hot flashes and more low mood is because their gut health is off. Okay, so as you may have heard, there is a big gut-brain connection. So, the first thing I do when I'm working with a client who's maybe experiencing anxiety or worry or stress or any sort of mental issue is we work on the gut, because a large part of not only is the immune system residing in the gut, but you have a number of different neurons that send messages to the brain, and they sit in the gut. And so a lot of your mood and your mental health actually starts way down in your gut. So you really want to make sure that it's balanced, and it's going to really support you through menopause. So PB Assist is a really great prebiotic and probiotic in one. It's a great daily supplement. And Terrazyme is a fantastic digestive enzyme to make sure that you're breaking down your foods so that you're getting them into digestible bits. I cannot speak highly enough about Terrazyme. I've had so many clients with so many great success stories, everything from like helping skin clear up to helping to break down bone spurs, like calcium buildups in the body, and helping to improve energy, digestion. Gosh, there's just so many success stories with Terrazyme. It's fantastic. It's something that you would take with a meal. So it's Terrazyme, meaning enzyme. You need enzymes in the body to break down your food. And so this is something you would take like two with any meal to make sure that you're getting the most from that meal. So let's take a look at hormone disruptors. So this is happening in our world. So some people might say that, today's women is experiencing a tougher time shifting because of our world. So one of the things that you'll want to pay attention to is the water you're drinking. So chlorine is in tap water. So if you're still drinking tap water, that definitely could be throwing off your hormones and making you feel worse. So this is a picture of a Santevia filter. They're excellent for pulling the chlorines out of water. There's a lot of different brands out there where you can sort of Google and find. Berkeley is another really good one that pulls out the chlorine. So start with, clear filtered water, no chlorine, and you're going to feel a lot better. And that's definitely going to support your body. Also remove endocrine disruptors. So often your system can be thrown a little bit off if you're eating the wrong foods for you. So the most common allergens are glutens, dairy, corn, soy, peanuts, and eggs, and also refined sugars and even artificial sugars. So if you are experiencing some digestive issues and you're still feeling maybe a little bit low and you've done work on your gut, I would then recommend that you experiment with reducing or eliminating all of these foods for a couple of weeks, see how you feel, and then introducing them back in one at a time to see whether or not that could have been the issue. But you'd be surprised at some of the things that foods can do. For example, corn. Like for me, when I have corn, I actually wake up the next day and I have dark circles under my eyes. And I know a lot of people who have little things like that. With some of these items here. And so when you really start to pay attention, you'll start to notice, like I know some people that eat peanuts and then they're really tired the next day. So pay attention, because if you're eating foods that your body does not love, it's definitely going to cause a little bit more stress on your body when it needs all of the love and support it can get as this shift is happening. So so I like to call them bad estrogens. It's just easier to remember. But there are good estrogens and bad estrogens, and we get it through just living our life, right? So we want to get our liver really good at eliminating those bad estrogens, binding to them, pulling them out. So they can, like if you're eating meat, commercial meat from the grocery store, you're getting estrogens, bad estrogens in your body. If you're using your microwave with plastic, they're in baby bottles, or anything with non-PBA or with bisphenol A in the plastic coating, you can get them that way. Pesticides, like even just fruit. If you're not buying organic, you're getting it just by eating your fruits. Children's toys. Isn't that scary? It's awful. But yeah, definitely some bad estrogens in toys, plastic, sunscreen. And then some people are put on synthetic hormones, right? And if your doctor just automatically puts you on synthetic hormones because you're experiencing all of these symptoms, do your research, because there are a lot of things that can be a little bit scary when you start looking into those synthetic hormones, and there are other options. Okay. So let's take a look at movement and staying cool. All right. So movement matters in your menopause years. And, you don't have to be that person that, goes to the gym for an hour every day, all week. Research shows that just the little things do help, and they're actually more supportive to your adrenal glands. You don't want to tank your adrenals too much by working out too much, too often, too hard. That can actually work against you. And so you're better off doing things like walking. If you're watching Netflix, do some sit-ups, some tricep curls, grab a kettlebell, do things to build your muscles and your bones, right? The more muscle you have, the stronger your bones are. Maybe get up 10 minutes early, do some stretching, some meditation, go for a walk at lunch, park further away, all those things that we know, but it's really making a commitment to do them. You're going to feel that much better if you have a decent movement routine. And keeping it cool. So if you are experiencing hot flashes or night sweats, this is an amazing blend. So just using the oils of lavender, peppermint, clary, sage, and frankincense, you will notice that you will reduce your night sweats. Clary sage is one of the magic ones in there, and peppermint helps to keep you cool. Okay, but clary sage is like your hormone balancer. So another thing that you might experience during this time period are feelings of loss, right? A lot of women will experience this time period a little bit differently, but there sometimes is a feeling of loss that comes along with this change. And that is a loss of, maybe not being able to have babies anymore. There could be something emotional there. Feeling like you're going into the next phase of life. Maybe your kids are leaving home at that time. Maybe things are really shifting into the next stage of your life. And so there's a lot of things that you can do to minimize or to address those feelings of loss. The first thing is your lifelong vitality kit. You guys, I cannot speak enough about this. The fish oils in there are pure magic when it comes to mood and, just dealing with some of those shifting emotions. Some of the best essential oils for dealing with these feelings are peppermint. So peppermint actually supports your brain and provides energy. Frankincense is a great one for calming and, dealing with those low moods. Same with copaiba. Copaiba is also great for anxiety and achiness and also sleep. Citrus is very uplifting. Sandalwood's very grounding. And there's also some research I'll share with you later on sandalwood. Balance is what you use all day, every day, you guys. It helps to keep your cortisol levels balanced throughout the day. And oftentimes, if you go into menopause with weak adrenals, you're going to feel it a lot more than someone who has strong adrenal glands. Okay. So you want to do everything you can to promote strong adrenal glands. And that's keeping your cortisol level throughout the day. And balance really does help with that. Making sure that you have a whole foods diet. We talked about that, getting loads of greens. Trying to focus on limiting caffeine and just maybe picking things that will give you a natural lift. Mito 2 Max is great for that. And if you're using doTERRA products, the Mito 2 Max supplement, there's some beautiful antioxidants in that and natural energy sources to sort of provide you that boost you might be looking for. Or even just things like spirulina, greens powders, and ashwagandha, things like that might help you with that energy lift. Gut health. So we talked about that. So really working on that gut health, because again, that mental health connection and the gut are so, so huge. And really the best way to do that, there's some tests you can do. If you have questions, you can reach out to me. But that PB Assist is certainly a great one. And then mixing up the different bacteria you get, maybe switching out your probiotics every once in a while will be helpful. Meditation is great because, again, just helping you to process the change that's happening, that will help significantly manage the stress. And then really connecting with other women and really sharing, what you're going through and what you're feeling, and just feeling like you have that, that bond with others. And then also trying to keep that inflammation down with your Deep Blue Polyphenol Complex is a great one if you want to do supplement, but you can do that through your diet. You can do that through food. You can do that through breathing and keeping your stress low, because all of those things contribute to keeping your inflammation down. So moving into the last section, we'll talk about managing stress and improving sleep, which are the final layers. But first, I wanted to share a study done on clary sage. So I've mentioned clary sage. It's your kind of like your hormone balancing essential oil. Kind of a neat study done in 2014 and was published in this research paper. They found that clary sage oil had the ability to reduce cortisol levels by 36% and increase your TSH. So TSH is like a thyroid measure, and when people are feeling like really low and they're gaining weight, often their thyroid is off. And so anything you can do to support the thyroid is great. And then it also showed to help menopausal women. So clary sage is something you want in your kit for sure. But there's some other really great oils as well to manage that stress. And so really, play with it a little bit, because essential oils are kind of like drugs, right? If you kind of try one and it doesn't work for you, then it doesn't mean you're not going to try them again, right? You just might have to try something different because your biochemistry is different and it may just work a little bit differently for your system. So bergamot is a great one. It helps to release tension and emotional issues. Vetiver is fantastic for calming the busy brain down. So good for sleep. Very earthy smelling. Lavender is a great one for grounding and calming. Roman chamomile is fantastic for calming your nerves and fighting insomnia, and then also promotes relaxation. Ylang ylang is often associated with hormones as well, and it helps with libido and also helps with mood and depression. And marjoram is great. It's a calming one and helps with emotional pain and grief that might come right at that time of life. And rose is just a fantastic oil. It's the highest frequency oil out there. It's a very powerful oil, and it can be used for mood support as well and general anxiety. And then frankincense. Frankincense is the best, anti-inflammatory and brain support oil, and it can help, lower that anxiety. It can help to, basically calm your nervous system down so your cortisol stays balanced throughout the day, but also supports that brain. If there's any inflammation in the brain, it will bring that inflammation down. And, we have a new line called called Adaptive, that is for stress and mental wellness. And it's a great formula as well that would be fantastic during this time period. So kind of a neat study here. So sandalwood helps balance testosterone. So if you have any issues there, I highly recommend a test called the Dutch test. If you haven't heard of that, it's something that's so valuable for people our age. You can have it done for I think it's over $300, and you can have, let me know if you want to have it done, and I can connect you with the right person based on where you live. Thyme has also been found to balance progesterone. So if you feel like you have a bit of an issue with your progesterone, it's a great essential oil to experiment with. But I always recommend maybe getting testing first. You know where to focus, where do you target, and it's money well spent, because you're going to know how you can really get the best bang for your buck. So this Dr. Hill is one of the doctors that is on the board of doTERRA, and he has recommended this little protocol here for balancing hormones. And really it is all about just being very consistent with using your oils, because that consistency is going to make a huge difference for you. So starting by applying balance to the bottom of your feet and even behind your ears in the soft spot here, that's going to help to balance not only your hormones, but your mood and your emotions and pretty much everything in your body. It's going to bring you into homeostasis. You can put 3 drops of frankincense under your tongue to address that chronic inflammation and to help support your brain during this period. The phytoestrogen, I would say work with your healthcare provider on to see if you even need that, but it's basically like flaxseed. So you can use flaxseed instead, and then maybe talk with your doctor, see if you might need some additional support there. Trim Shake is just a neat product. It's a whey-based protein shake, and it's got something called ashwagandha in it, which is amazing for stress as well. So I really like the product. So it can be a great thing to add to your daily routine. And in the daytime, using citrus oils to uplift your mood, peppermint also for mood, and when you need it, using white fir Roman chamomile to really help calm and ground you throughout the day. Take your PB Assist with your meals. Don't forget your Lifelong Vitality vitamins as well. And then finishing your day with maybe cedarwood on the bottom of your feet. We'll talk about sleep in a few minutes, but that's just kind of a sample of what your day could look like. So let's talk about sleep. So here are some tips on making sure that you make sleep great. So some people really have to work on. I thankfully have never had a problem falling asleep. My head hits the pillow and I'm out. But how about you guys? Anyone else have issues falling asleep? I know a lot of my clients have issues staying asleep. So there's definitely oils you can try for that. But some of the things you want to pay attention to. So you want your room to be completely dark. You want to make sure you haven't been on technology for about an hour before you go to bed. Make sure you turn your Wi-Fi off or put your phone on airplane mode, or keep your phone out of your bedroom. Really important, you guys. That Wi-Fi can mess up your brain. You could try a hot bath with your essential oils, maybe with some frankincense in there, some Adaptive, or maybe some sandalwood, something calming, ylang ylang. Maybe diffuse something, maybe lavender, serenity, cedarwood is great. And then one other thing that you might not realize, but when your blood sugars are balanced throughout the day, it also promotes a good night rest. So if your blood sugar levels are up and down all throughout the day, you might notice that your blood sugar continues to be up and down at night, and it could wake you in the middle of the night. All right, so the best oils for sleep. Well, first of all, I love the Restful Complex Blend. There are essential oils as well as L-theanine in there, the gel caps. They're fantastic. You can get those from the US shopping cart, or you can use the straight up oil in your diffuser. Copaiba is also great for sleep. It's sort of like your natural weed, and except it doesn't have the CBD. It's good for your brain. You're not going to wake up groggy. You're not going to get addicted to it. It's really safe. Adaptive is great for sleep, as well as cedarwood and vetiver. Cedarwood's been known to help you stay asleep and also help the busy brain, as well as vetiver. If those don't work, there are other oils to try, right? Some people find wild orange works for them. So you kind of have to experiment a little bit to see what works best for you. Whoops. So let's talk about some final things. So you might also experience some dryness. And so there's a few things you can do here as well. So up your fish oils. So take more fish oils. Again, we talked about that sort of lubricating side of fish oils. And so it does lubricate the body, including your joints and everything. You can try maca powder. So you can find maca powder in the health food store, and that also does help with lubrication. And then, or you can make your own lube as well to support. Try to avoid the ones you find in the the drugstore. They do contain alcohols, and they can actually dry you out more. So better to make your own by using fractionated coconut oil, lavender, ylang ylang. Those are both really calming, and then clove will add a little bit of spice. So that's a really nice blend that you can experiment with, and that will make all the difference during those times. So next step, so where to go? That's a lot of information, isn't it? What I encourage you to do is just think about a couple things that really kind of stood out for you. Just pick 2 things and start doing them differently now, right? Just making change gradually is going to be more likely to actually kind of anchor those changes into your routine, and you continue on with them, as opposed to trying to do them all and only doing it for a week. Okay, so just pick 1 or 2 things and just really make it a goal to implement those into your daily routines. You can change out some things like making sure that you're storing your food in glass containers to avoid the PBAs. You can switch to organic foods, maybe focus more on real food if that's, makes sense in what you're doing right now. Maybe you want to make sleep a goal, or maybe you just want to start using your essential oils, not only to clean your house, but to boost your mood, on your skin for beauty care, and then to address all the symptoms that might come your way during this time period. Okay, so finally, just wanting to let anyone know who maybe doesn't have essential oils that you can go ahead and just contact me to set up a consult. And I'm happy to work with you to kind of define what your top goals are and help you find the best solutions for you, so that you can get these essential oils at a great price. And really the goal here is for me to provide you support ongoing. So that's kind of why this model is the way it is. And we don't sell oils on the store shelves. It's because you also get me and you get my team, and we will help you make the changes. So we do lots of stuff for free. But really just, my question to you is like, how badly do you want to, make this a goal, is to feel well through menopause, and just really think about what matters to you and what you think you can accomplish right now. And just really just do one thing at a time. That's really the way to implement change and make it last. So thanks very much. I'll just give you a minute. If you have any questions, please go ahead and chat those in. Okay, I am going to end the meeting now. I've just recorded it for those who couldn't make it. So thanks very much for logging in, and we'll chat with you soon.